Begin.
Okay, sir. Hello to all. Good morning to all of you. Uh, behalf of Parul University and Electrical Engineering Department, I welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Mayank Vyas. I'm Assistant Professor in Parul Institute of Engineering and Technology, Diploma Studies, Parul Universities. Today we are presenting a webinar on exploring entrepreneurship skill among in India, which is presented by Dr. Soni sir. He is an assistant professor of finance and accounting at SBG International College, Surat, which is affiliated to Veer Narmad South Gujarat Universities. He has done his BBA in finance, MBA in finance, qualified Gujarat set in management, PhD in management on behavioral finance, diploma in foreign exchange and risk management ITER, certified trainee course in SPSS. He has a total of 10 years of experience, including 8 years in academics and 2 years of corporate. He also has total 22 publications in various reputable journals like Scopus, ABDC, UGC Care, Web of Science, etc. Including a patent in Government of India under the Intellectual Property Rights Act 1970, for which he has received the loyalty grant for his innovations in finance on the topic called Techno Innovations and Growth of India's Share Market. He has authored 3 books on accounting and finance for graduate level students. He had received a 3 times Best Research Paper Award in various international conferences organized by different academic institutions like AICT and UGC. He was awarded with a Best Faculty of Management Department at our institute. He had been invited by many schools of UGC, HRDC across India as a part of the resource persons and sessions chair to deliver the lecture on various topics like research, entrepreneurial skills, use of ICT tools, techniques, and several other society science topics. He also attending more than 12 faculty development program arranged by the IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Visakhapatnam, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Baroda Management Association, and many more. He has presented more than 70 research papers at various national and international conferences across in India and USA. Along with that, attended 15 seminars and workshops. So, good morning, sir. We are very happy to you join us our webinar session and deliver some expertise in entrepreneurship topic. So, go with it, sir.
Thank you, Mayank. I, Dr. Kunal Soni, like to thank Parul Institute of Electrical Engineering, Parul University, Vadodara, Gujarat, for inviting me on this nice topic, which is the heart of the youth of the nation. And so, in this presentation, we are going to throw some lights on what are the characteristics of entrepreneurship is required and how the youth of the nation can think about it and can divert their career into this particular sector, right? Because there is 2 parts, employment generator and employment taker. So it is always to be on a side of employment generator, right? And rather than employer taker. So yes, entrepreneurship is having a huge importance in any economy. So it is, it is a gift for the government if the people of the nations are more focused toward the entrepreneurship, because it will automatically create the employment for the nation. Okay, so let's begin with the presentation. Fine. So if 2006 to 2016, if I will talk about the entrepreneurship, so it has dropped down drastically. So government needs to take various initiatives to fill that gap and to boost the economy in a more concrete manner, right? Because if we think about it, as I already told you, that entrepreneurship is one of the most important parameter for the country, right? So first, before starting anything, we need to understand who is entrepreneur and what is entrepreneurship, right? Generally, people have some confusion regarding entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. So entrepreneur is a person who is taking risk to start the business. And obviously, we all know that risk and return are going both hands to hand. So the person who takes the risk of the business will also have the profit sharing into the business, right? So the person who is taking risk will have to share the profit from the business itself. And what is entrepreneurship? So entrepreneurship is the process of identifying and starting a new business, outsourcing and organizing the required resources by taking both the risk and reward associated with the nature. So entrepreneur is a person, right, who is going to start the business. And entrepreneurship is the process that person needs to follow to create his own venture, right? So entrepreneurship is in a balance sheet. If we talk about in finance, in a balance sheet, there are two parts: sources of fund and application of fund, right? So sources of fund means to start the business, the person needs to arrange the finance, right? So you all are from electrical engineering, right? So you people have some innovative idea in terms of electrical products and all those things. So you people are more connected with the innovation, if I'm not wrong, right? So when the business will sustain only with the innovation, no. If I think tomorrow I need to go with some development of product, but to give the birth of this new product, if I don't have a sufficient finance, or I'm failed to arrange some finances for this innovative product. So again, it is a very rare chances that I will get sustained in the market, right? So entrepreneurship is a combination of both the things, right? So combination in a sense, if you have an idea, but to execute this idea into the real market, if you don't have a finance, I'm unsure about it, whether you can sustain in the market or not, right? So we need to take care of such things, that organizing the finance in such a manner so that risk and reward should be balanced, right? So that is what we need to ensure. According to 2022 statistics, 20% of the business in India are going to fail and close down from the first year itself. Why? It is either of the two reasons. You have not identified the market for the innovation that you are coming out. Or the second parameter, you are failed to manage your finance. I'm not saying arranging finance. Arrangement of finance might be possible, but management of finance is very much important, right? Management of finance, in a sense, ultimately, whatever business you are doing, you need to think about the profitability aspect. And profitability leads to the total revenue that you are generating, and out of that, total expenses that you are going to incur during the financial year. And the difference between these two parameters would be your profitability aspect. So always you need to think about it. And there is another terminology, entrepreneur, and another terminology is entrepreneur. Right? So what is entrepreneur? There is an entrepreneur. So entrepreneur is a person, or you can say the owner of the business, right? Who starts his business by his own. But who is an entrepreneur? So entrepreneur is a person who is official payroll of the company, and he is taking decision on behalf of company. On behalf of company. So he is liable for all the decisions that he has to take in the business. But what is the difference between entrepreneur and entrepreneur? So entrepreneur is a person who is managing his business by his own. So whatever the profit that is going to generate, it is his own, right? So here the risk of money, right? So risk of money is there, right? Risk of money is there with the entrepreneur because he is investing into the business and he is running the business. But who is entrepreneur? So entrepreneur is in the company payroll, right? So he is not investing money into the business, and that's why he has no risk to lose the money into the business, even though if he has taken the wrong decision. But yes, there is a definite impact on his reputation, right? So he is the most liable person in the organization, and he needs to take the decision in such a way that company should go on the profitability side rather than the loss making side. Fine, let's go ahead. So to become a successful entrepreneur, what are the skills that you require as a beginner in the India, right? So these are the skills, right? First of all, this is the important aspect, right? Confidence, because you are the person who is going to run the business, right? And if you are going to start the business, you are going to appoint various technical people, right, as per the requirement of the electronic engineering, right? So if you are not confident about your product, that it is going to sustain in the market or not, nobody else is going to believe in your product, right? So first, you are the person who needs to believe in yourself. But there is a difference between self-confidence and overconfidence, right? So you should build up the confidence at the moment when you have developed that much market research. You have to do the market research. And if you are confident that yes, your product has the sustainability in the market, then you have to show your confidence. And confidence starts when the entrepreneur will decide that he needs to go for the business in the market, right? And then, yes, definitely, even after so many research and innovations, there might be possibility of failure, right? But failure is a way to get the success. So yes, you have to be confident. So confidence in a terms, you should have risk-taking ability, right? Risk-taking in a sense, as we have already seen in the previous slide, you are an entrepreneur, so you need to take a risk. You are investing fundings into the business, so you are whole and sole responsible for all the decisions that is going to execute in your organization. So risk taking, self confidence, as I already mentioned, it should not be overconfident, but you have to be self confidence, and self confidence leads to your positive attitude, right? You should always be the positive for your business, for your employees, and for your decisions. Then only you can sustain and you can attain some good position for the future in the market, right? So you should be positive enough. If you are positive, your positivity will download to your subordinates, right? But if you're negative towards your business, I don't think so. You can download the positive aspect to your subordinate, right? So this is one of the most important parameter, that yes, positive attitude needs to be developed, and that leads to the business in a greatest manner, right? And fourth is persuasiveness. What is persuasiveness? As I already told you, you should be self-confident, but you should not be overconfident, right? So self-confidence means when you have your self-analysis, when you have your self-study, and based on that, you will decide whether it is right or wrong, right? So you should have the capability to accept the changes or ability to accept the advice from the people nearest to your surrounding, right? Because it is for your own knowledge, for your own benefit, right? But if you're sticking to your business and if you're sticking to your own decision only, that whatever I said is right and others are wrong, so this is a matter of concern, right? So persuasive means adaptability capability, right? How much adaptable you are, that is called persuasiveness, right? So you have to pursue the things which is going on into the market, and according to it, you need to execute your programs or business. Fine. Then competition, right? Obviously, there is an intense competition in the market, right? Because liberalization, due to the liberalization, anybody can enter into the market and can have the bread and butter from the business. So yes, from the first day itself, when you are entering into the market, you have to face the intense competition in the market. So you have to be competitive, right? Competitive in a sense, time and time again, you need to execute the changes that is required in your business, right? And at the same time, you need to boost your business at that moment, whatever the things is required for your business, right? And that's why to boost the business, you have to be initiative, right? You have to take some initiatives, right? Let's suppose some modification is required, some technological changes is required, new invention is required, new machinery is required, worker needs a training is required. So all these things you need to adopt, you need to identify from the market by looking at the what other businesses are doing it, and at the same time you need to execute. In management, there is one terminology, that is the first mover advantage. But I can say nobody, not everyone should be a first mover, but at least we should be a fast mover rather than first mover. Agree? Yes or no? Fine. So rather than first mover, you should be at least fast mover so that you should not lose your market, right? Because nowadays consumers are very smart. Whatever products they are buying with the features and prices. So you have to be competitive, right? Along with the product, you should also stick to the prices. You need to understand what should be the prices of other products, and accordingly you have to decide the prices of your product. So you have to be competitive in terms of price. You have to be initiative in terms of technological advancement, right? And you should be goal driven, right? You should be thorough with what you want to achieve, right? You should confirm what is your ultimate goal, right? Somebody will start with the proprietorship, then they have grown, it will convert into partnership firm. Partnerships too, they will convert into limited liability firm, or you can say private limited. And then after private limited, you are going to issue your IPO or something. So now you are going to be public limited, right? So your share market is, your shares are going to listed in the BSE, NSE stock exchanges, and you can have the good amount of business from the market. And for the expansion more, you have the sufficient fundings from the market as and when you want. So that is possible through the listing. But this is the last one. So if you are starting with the proprietorship, you have to come to the private partnership to private limited to public limited, right? So this is the usual step. So here proprietorship, you are the only person who brings the money into the business. Once you have grown, you will go to the partnership. So you will add more partners into your business, so you can expand your business. Once you have done with the partnership, you can go with the private limited. So you can have up to 200 members in your company with the shares holding. So you can go with private limited. And after private limited, you don't want to restrict yourself up to 200 people's funding. You can go with the public limited, right? So all the stock exchange companies who are listed in the stock market are public limited. Fine. Okay. Then you need to create various drives in the market. And for that, you should be highly energetic. You should be very determining, and you should be very motivated person, right? Whatever changes that is happening into the market, you have to adopt it, you have to learn it, and you need to execute in your business. There are some entrepreneurs who thinks, I had seen in the market, but when they reach at some level, there are some entrepreneurs who have received initial success in the market, then they feel that now we have to sit and we do the business. But believe me, today is a scenario where you cannot run your business like this. You have to keep update yourself, and you have to run with the market. And if you're running with the market, you can definitely churn the profit from the market, right? So that is what you need to take initiative in terms of drives, right? Drives in terms of various things you need to adopt, right? Whatever the facility you need to provide to your employees for a smooth functioning of the process. Like in electronic engineering, you have to replace your machineries, right? You have to adopt some technological parameters, or there is some factory or something is like that. So for development of various product, you have some dies and processing all these things. So time and time again, whatever the changes that is happening, you have to execute, and then you have to sell it out in the market. So it has a more market value rather than the the product which is already outdated from the market, right? So definitely we need to take care of those things. Yes. Then flexibility, you have to be flexible in terms of, well, I already told you that you have to flexible enough. You need to adopt the new technological changes as and when it takes place. Adaptive, if any policies or regulations are going to change, so you need to adopt this rather than opposing, and start working on the parameters which is beneficial to your organization. And change is an opportunity. Obviously, there are some people who feel that threatening as and when they need to adopt the changes into the market. But believe me, change is an opportunity to run the market. If you change, if you bring something new into the market, you will have the opportunity to capture a new market than the market you are already capturing, right? So change is an opportunity. Yes, you have to come out with the new innovations and technology. But yes, I already told you, innovation and technology, along with that, the fundings is very important. So you have to be take care of these things also. Okay. And tolerate ambiguity. So being an entrepreneur, you should always have the tolerance capacity, right? You have to face some threatening from the market. You have to face some critics from your subordinates also, right? But but coming out all this ambiguity, you have to think that this is my business and this is my people, and I need to run the business very efficiently, right? So small things you should not look into it, but you have to be very flexible enough, right? Then core value in terms of ethics, right? Whenever you are running the business into the market, you are answerable to so many stakeholders. So being a beginner of the business, right, as a engineering people, you have to be have trustworthiness and honesty as and when you are running the business, right? Until unless if you are not showing the trust into the market, customer is not going to believe, or if they are going to believe in the first aspect, but they will not turn up again for your product, right? So you have to be trustworthy and honest in terms of to your customer, to your employees, to your suppliers, all the people who are directly or indirectly connected with your business. Then problem solving, you should have this skill is required, problem solving, right? Because you are running the business. Let's suppose if we are taking the examples of Reliance Industry, so how big empire it is, right? So do we think that this empire is going to run without any ambiguity or any problems? No. Day and day, every day the problems are going to arise in some way or other around, but the company needs to develop such policies that it should be solved in efficient manner, right? So they have to come out with a good innovative and imaginative policy, so that the people will convince with what you are saying, and they will connect again with more efficiently and enthusiastically. Because ultimately who is going to work on the ground level for the company is the people who are working under the company. So it is very important, being a beginner, right, so that you will take care of the needs of the people who are directly or indirectly connected with your organization, right? I'm talking in terms of proprietors also, right? Because we are talking about the beginners, right? So being a beginners, if you are hiring one or two people under you, you need to take care of the requirements. We need to try to understand the requirements, and if it is valid, we need to fulfill it. We should not every time ignore the requirements, because it will have the negative impacts on the moral of the employees, right? And it will have the indirect negative effect on the performance of the business. So yes, we need to take care of this, and that is why it is called problem solving, right? Problem in terms of payrolls, problem in terms of leaves, problem in terms of working environment, problems in terms of policies, right? Problem in terms of personal reasons. It could be anything, right? It could be anything. But we being a beginner, we have to take care of this particular things. Okay. And that is what I was talking about. There is one research which has proven this particular things, right? How the entrepreneurs will be ready into the market, right? You being an entrepreneur, you being a beginner, how you are going to ready into the market, right? So in research, there are basically two variables that we are going to test it. One is dependent variable and one is independent variable. Now, first of all, we need to understand what is dependent and what is independent variable. So dependent variables are those variables for the variable which is affected by some other variables, right? Means he is dependent, these variables is dependent on other variables, right? It has not his self identity, but it is developed through the mixture of other variables. That is called dependent variable. And independent variable means it is independent. It is not mixtures of anyone, right? So independent variables for the entrepreneurs, right? How to convert the beginners to the successful entrepreneurs into the market. So these are the four factors that we need to take care. That is, one is motivation. Second one is he needs to identify the opportunity that is prevailing into the market. Third one is resources, which is required for the organization. He needs to arrange the resources as and when it is required into the organization, right? And entrepreneur's ability, right? These things is very important. This is not going to gettable from the market. It is a self quality, right? If you are entrepreneur or not, if you have an entrepreneur quality or not. So this is your own quality. Nobody else is going to develop in yourself, right? So you have to develop in yourself, right? So motivation in terms of profit maximization, desire for independence, right? So that is the ultimate goal. अगर कोई भी बंदा अपना बिजनेस रन करता है तो उसका अल्टीमेट मोटिवेशन वही होता है, प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइजेशन, right? So that is what the motivation, why you are coming out into the business in the market, right? आप मार्केट में बिजनेस लेके क्यों आते हो? Because you want to earn the money. So money is a motive, one of the most important motive. Then to fulfill this motivation, you need to come out with the various opportunities identification. You need to analyze the market, and accordingly you have to finalize your product and segments, right? So innovative idea, creative idea, social networking, and prior knowledge. So these are the four factors for which you are going to research successfully. So you will definitely identify the opportunities from the market, you being a beginner, right? So if you want to start your business, you should first develop your innovative idea and creative ideas. Then if you have a social networking, those who are running on this particular parameters, right? So you should go into it, you should learn it, you should take the trainings from them, you should get some idea from them. So you will have more clarity on the concept regarding the product development and market identification. And after doing this, you should have your own prior knowledge out of it, right? Because market में लोग बहुत सारी चीजें बोलते हैं, वो सही है कि नहीं है, ultimately you will decide, and you will be in a position to decide whether through social networking, whatever information you are getting, is it for your benefit or is it to mold yourself into stuck up. So that will be decided by you only, as and when you have the prior knowledge of the market and the product, right? So might be possible that we don't have other knowledge, but at least we should have some basic knowledge about the product. Then only this three parameter is important, but the first important is you should have your own knowledge. Otherwise it is not possible, right? Because there are so many peoples in the market, in this competitive market, they can misguide you also, right? So you being a person needs to decide whether it is right or wrong, right? Fine. So then resources, yes. So if you are coming out with the innovative ideas and product, right, you should always take care that nobody will copy and paste your product into the market and churn your market, and ultimately you will lose the monetary benefit that you are going to receive from this particular development, right? And that's why you need to get the patent copyrights for your product that you are designing into the market. So nobody can copy and paste your product, right? So yes, intellectual property needs to get from the market. Then physical resources in terms of machinery, land, buildings, all these things that is required for your business, that you need to arrange. And access to finance, most important, because if finance is there, this finance is there, this all things are possible. Without finance nothing is possible, right? So even if you develop some physical resources or intellectual property rights, but if you don't have a finance, you cannot file it, right? So finance is a lifeblood of business, and you need to arrange it at any point of time when it is going to require. Just think about it. If your business needs some purchase, your business needs some finance, but at that time if you don't have a finance, what would be the impact? It has a dramatical impact, right? It is a backlog in the business, right? And backlog in a sense, if you have resources and if you have the employees who are already on the payroll of the company, so if due to some purchase, if your business is not having a finance even for 24 hours, it will shut down, it will drop down the business, and you are not in a position to cope up from the market. You have to unnecessarily pay the salary to your employees for your materials also. So this is a dramatical impact on the business, right? So no employees or no owners of the business or beginners of the business can afford this kind of losses into the market. Then we have the entrepreneur's ability. So entrepreneur's ability in terms of various fields, right? So you being an engineering people, electrical engineering people, so if you want to come out into the market for the business, you should not restrict your knowledge up to the electrical engineering, but you need to learn the various management skills. And that's why all the engineering fields have some or one or two lectures for the management and business administration, right? You have to manage the finance, you have to manage your business, you have to manage your people, right? And you people have the immense quality to design a product. But if you are not learning the management ability skills, so somehow how you will be fail into the market, even though if you have innovative products. So it is very essential that you people will learn along with the electronic engineering knowledge, you should also learn the various aspects of management skill. And management skills is basically you need to capture the market. So you need marketing skill. You need to arrange a finance. So you need a financial skill, right? You have to adopt various, peoples into the market. That is called human resource management, right? So you have a team building task, right? You have administrative tasks, right? You have to do certain documentary evidence and all these things. So for that also you should have some knowledge. And effective business plan, right? So effective business plan is possible whenever you are aware about the other parameters, because effective business plan will consist all these parameters. So your business plan, uh, your business plan will start with these parameters only, right? So you have to work very minutely on this parameter. So this is called, these are called independent variable, right? So if these variables are combined together, you will turn yourself, you will turn yourself into your entrepreneurs. But after that also there is some other things which is also required for the business, that is the training of the entrepreneurs, right? Sometimes it might be possible that you have innovative idea, right, but you don't have a various skills, right? And that is why today this webinar has been arranged by Professor Mayank Vyas for all of you, for electrical engineering people, that in spite of having an innovative idea, you are having much more knowledge about various engineerings and electrical products. But if you don't know how to enter into the market, and even if you know how to enter into the market, but how to deal with the market, so sometimes you will fail, because wrong decisions can hamper the profitability of the business, and it will have the add-on advantage to your competitors, right? So you have to learn through the trainings. You have to take the trainings of entrepreneurship at the process. And I am aware about that Parul University is taking much more initiative as far as entrepreneurship development skills is concerned. And you have the special development cell also, entrepreneur development cell, etc department. So you people are having wonderful exposures over there. So you should take care of these things, and you should take maximum benefit if you want to entering into the market, and if you want to do the business, for the knowledge that you are acquiring right now, right? So you can nicely execute your things. So this is called moderating variable. Why it is moderating? Independent, dependent, and moderating. So moderating means not everybody requires this. Somebody required, somebody not required. Somebody's are born entrepreneurs, but somebody's are created entrepreneurs, right? So those who are born entrepreneurs, they are falling into this category. They don't require trainings. But those who are creators, they requires the training, right? So that's why it is moderating. Might be, might not be. So entrepreneur trainings is required. So if this plus this is equal to this, now you are a ready material for entrepreneurs into the market. Fine. So yes, this is some statistics for the entrepreneurs. So we'll not take much time on this. So creativity 6.2%, personality 10.4% out of your overall entrepreneurs person. Need for achievement 10.4, leadership quality 12.5, risk taking ability 16.7, and see most important things, your energy level, right? Whatever things that you have up to here, but if you don't have your energy, you are not an entrepreneur, right? So first requirement is the energy that is required from yourself, and then you have risk taking ability, right? So these two parameters are consisting almost 60% of the total to become an entrepreneur into the market. Fine. Now, stages of effective entrepreneurship development. So these are the various stages: empowerment, experience from direct learning, formation of business planning, having long-term vision and acceptability, and adaptability, right? Fine. And awareness also. So empowerment means You need to empower yourself. Then you need to learn from the various experience that you have received from the market, right? It is called direct experience, direct learning, right? You are going into the market, and you are having a self experience into the market. Then you have the formation of business planning, right? So formation of business planning, as I've already told you. So business planning should be in terms of uh, fundings, right? And funding should required for product development, marketing, finance, HR, right? Research and development, administrative expenses. So all these parameters you need to project into the business. And once you project these parameters, you will be in a position to format your business planning. Clear? And that's why you should having a long-term vision, right? So vision means long-term. Vision is always a long-term, right? And acceptability and adaptability and awareness for the various scenario from the market. Yes, so this is what we have explained. This is what the slide is saying. So we'll not take much time on this particular things, right? So awareness in terms of values, personality, motives, capability and personal resources, right? So आप जो भी business कर रहे हो उसके बारे में आपके sources, आपको सारी चीजें aware होनी चाहिए. आप acceptance होना चाहिए. You should be having acceptance power. Long-term vision for every business is to have the maximum profitability. Business forecasting. So forecasting is for future aspect, right? It's a planning. So you have to develop your plan and action to achieve your vision. Then you need to upgrade, right? As and when the technological changes or any changes that is taking place into the market, you need to upgrade yourself and make yourself ready for the business in the future. And you have to be empowerment. Empowerment means you have to build the own competencies, right? So that is why you can sustain into the market and you can run your business efficiently, right? So you have to be very empowered. Fine. So there are various programs for entrepreneur skill development in India. So basically, they are focusing on these three parameters: goal setting, team building, and time management, right? So this is three aspect. You being a beginners into the market, you need to learn these three powers, right? So goal, you need to think about future and you need to decide what you want to achieve in the future. And to achieve in this future, you have to design your plan of action from today itself. That is called goal setting. Team building, you need to manage your people very efficiently and positively so that their morale is going to be high and they will provide more productivity to your business. And you have to be time management, right? You have to be very accurate in terms of not coming daily to the office and going office at home, but accurate in terms of various changes that is taken place in the market, right? Any changes, policy adaptation, everything. So you have to adopt those things on a timely basis, right? So that you can take the maximum benefit from the market. Then developing own business into the market. For that, you need to have critical path setting, plan your business and manage the process and reduce the risk, right? So if you focus on these three parameters, you can definitely manage your business being a beginners into the market. So as we have already told that if you want to make a business plan, you should focus basically on the marketing, finance and HR products, right? So marketing is for to sell the products into the market, right? So for that, you need to have the market research in a sense, whatever product that you are going to develop, is this having a market? Yes, then go for it. In which market? Then go for it. Who are the target customer? Then go for it. What would be the prices? Right? Then go for it. What is the customer expectation? Then go for it. What our product is providing? Identify the gap. What is customer expectation and what we are providing? Is it going to match? If not, ask yourself why and start adopting the changes that is required in your product to sustain in this particular market, right? If we take an example of HUL, Hindustan Unilever, right? So Unilever is a company of abroad, right? But they are giving the name of Hindustan Unilever. And wherever they are going into the market, they are adopting the cultural, necessity of the people and they are entering into the market and they are successfully running into the market, right? And actual huge market is India, right? Whatever FMCG products that we are buying in terms of soap, shampoos, conditioners, hair oils. So all these products are developed by HUL, right? But we are not aware about that this is not an Indian company, right? So they are working in various nations. Wherever they are going, they are changing their products, adopting the changes according to the need of the people, and they are successfully running into the market. Fine. Finance, yes, finance is a lifeblood. So without finance, you cannot start your business. So yes, you have to identify the needs of capital, right? You have to identify what is the startup capital required at the initial level, and cash flows and profitability issue, right? You should always have the answer of ifs and buts. If this profit is arise, then okay. If this profit is not arise, then what would be the other alternative? Plan A, plan B, plan C, right? So you being an entrepreneur, you being a beginner, you should have plan A, plan B, and plan C. But make sure whenever you are starting a business for any of the product of electronic engineering, you should not stuck up your business operational cycle due to the finance issues. It will have a negative impact, right? Because unnecessary expenses going to arise, and that effect will leads to high price would be higher of the product, and your profitability will be lower, right? And ultimate effect is whatever dividend that you need to pay to your shareholder is going to down, and that leads to your market value is going to down, right? So no business would like to afford this position, right? Because this is the closing of business position. So finance is very crucial part in the market and business. So we have to manage very efficiently into the market. Fine. Then finance strategies, e-business, quality assurance, IT for startups, right? So these are the various initiatives that you need to take, right? Quality control, right, is a short-term process that you need to fulfill, right? IT for startup, right? Then compliance with the legislation. Whenever we are coming into the market for the business establishment, we need to adopt some compliances as per the governments, right? So if we talk about in India, so basically the compliance for all the business in India in terms of business structure and taxation and return filing process, right? If I recall, whenever the GST was enrolled in July 2017, there was so many people was facing the issues for the GST, and we have already seen that people have complained to the government, and government has made uh, fortnightly meetings, right, or reforms to change and to change it, expectations of the people, and they have time and time again changed the GST rates, GST filing dates, right? GST filing periods. They had provided trainings to the CAs also. I still remember that Prime Minister Modi has addressed one conferences to the CAs of the country, right? So this is what the initiative that government also needs to take to motivate the people to adopt the changes that is taken place, right? Because changes need some time, right, from the executors and from the person who is going to adopt, right? So it will take a time, and it is a time taking process, but yes, we need to start exist with the reforms that has been taken place into the market, right? Rather than opposing, we need to adopt it, right? So that would be the smart businessman, and this is a smart move into the market, right? So these are the barriers. Poor infrastructure, so this is the barriers where your business is going to suffer. So poor infrastructure, poor training facilities, and lack of support services and trained expense staff. फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट नहीं होगा तो भी प्रॉब्लम होगा, लीगल कंस्ट्रेंट अगर फॉलो करने पड़ते हैं तो भी आप परेशान हो जाओगे. Marketing constraint, if you have not done the marketing research properly, then also you have the problem, and the social barriers are always there. People adaptability into the market is always the concern for the people, right? So this is the references through which I have taken this content. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now we conclude our sessions. So first of all, thank you to Mr. Dr. Kunal Soni sir for giving your valuable time and share very informative knowledge, which is really helpful to our students as well as our faculties also. Uh, so great, thank you to everyone. We appreciate all of you being a part of webinar. I hope we will see you next time. So thank you, Kunal sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So now we end this session, sir. So we
Okay,
have to,
thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Parul University and Professor Mayank Vyas for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.